Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central. CFL content for the fans, by the fans. Yes! Nick Demski remains a Blue Bomber. 2-year extension, which will carry him through the 2026 and 2027 season. And he sticks around in Winnipeg. So firstly, as a Bomber fan, I am happy for this. I heard from just kind of like on Twitter, just some of the insiders, whatnot, talking about how Brady Oliveira, after signing his deal, kind of put some nudges and a little bit of pressure on Demski to stick around. You know what I mean? And so I believe that is probably true, considering that this came literally less than a week after that type of stuff came out. Whether it did or didn't doesn't change the fact that Nick Demski, he is going to remain a Blue Bomber. He's 32 years old. He has averaged over 1,000 receiving yards the past 3 consecutive seasons. Even despite this past season, him only playing 16 games, he just got there with 1,001 yards. He had 7 touchdowns last year, which was a not his career high. That was 2022, but his second best career year in terms of the amount of touchdowns he got. And same with in terms of longest passes. He had a 73-yard reception as opposed to 2019, where his longest was 82. But Nick Demski has been a core part of the receiver group for Winnipeg for the past few years. And especially when certain guys have come and go, like a great example, and this is kind of a big talking point now, is what happens with Dalton Schoen. Do we see the Bombers really kind of put that faith in him that they did when he was a rookie? I mean, here's my thing. 2022, 2023, over 1,200 receiving yards for him. With his first year being over 1,400, 16 touchdowns and 10 the next year. He was absolutely brilliant. And then in the last 2 years, he's played a combined total of 8 games total over both years, 3 in 2024 and 5 this year. And so it's one of those things where Nick Demski, despite the fact that he wasn't putting up quite the numbers that Dalton Schoen was in 2022 and 2023, they were able to keep him healthy. That was a big thing for Nick Demski, was being able to stay healthy, in the sense of he has only once in his career played less than 10 games in a season. He's always played 10 or more. The only time he didn't was in 2017. He played 9 games for Saskatchewan. Whereas again, Dalton Schoen, past 2 years, he's played a combined total of 8 games. He's a very good receiver. It's just keeping him healthy that's been a problem for Winnipeg as of recent. But in terms of Demski, now that Demski's locked up for 2 years, Ontario Wilson is locked up for the next 3 for Winnipeg, and Brady Oliveira's locked up for 3 years. So there's a lot of pieces of the Bomber core that has now been locked up and is going to be sticking around. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with this, Rick.
Okay, so 2 things. First of all, with Demski gone, you now have Keyshawn Johnson, Dante Myers, Justin Hardy, and Tim White as the top 4 receivers by yards.
Sorry, you said, are you talking about available? So you're talking Tim White.
I said pending free agents.
So pending free agents. So you're talking Dante Myers, Tim White, and who are the other 2?
No. So Keyshawn Johnson's first with 11:59. Myers with 10:56. Justin Hardy with 10:19, and Tim White with 10:16, and then rounding out the top 5 now is Deshaun Brissett with 9:07. What I was gonna say as a joke was, to answer your question, what do we do with Dalton Schoen? And I went, send him our way. We know how to play a full season.
Nah.
Ask Kenny Lawler. We'll get him to a full season, full 18 games with our training staff.
Unironically, the Bombers have only been able to do that with one guy, and it's Zach fucking Caleros. Everyone else they haven't been able to do it with. But
I'm happy to let go of Tim White for Dalton Schoen. We can listen. If they can rejoice Bo Levi Mitchell's career the last 2 seasons, and Kenny Waller's last year, I'm sure we can rejoice Dalton Schoen's
Well,
coming.
and Dalton Schoen, I gotta say, and this is information from my brother. For those not aware, my brother has done some work with Bonfire Sports. He had he
You're
was
not
in the
supposed to say your
Bombers.
source.
He was no. This is something that I can say. This is stuff that's posted
Oh, okay.
publicly. This I'm allowed to talk about. They had he had done interviews in the dressing room with some of these guys, and I remember him doing interviews with Dalton Schoen and showing me some of his footage and whatnot. And he posted that publicly. There's no problem with me sharing that. And one of the things you notice is anytime Zach, my brother Zach, asks a simple question, Dalton Schoen would give such a in-depth, calculated answer. It's one of those things where this guy's football IQ is through the fucking roof. For Dalton Schoen, you know what I mean? Whereas with some people, very, very, like for example, everybody loves Mike O'Shea. He's a great guy. Mike O'Shea notoriously doesn't say much in an interview, though. Dalton Schoen, on the other hand, he had a lot to say. But, and so, if the Bombers do decide to keep him around, I totally get why. And, you know, I would like to see him. I just like seeing him play instead of seeing him hurt. But Nick Demski, he's been around in the CFL for a while. He just played his 10th season as he had started with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's played the first 3 seasons of his career there, 2015 through 2017. Then 2018 onward, he's been with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he's been a very, very core part, getting better and better each season until 2023, when he really started to peak and he hit over 1,000 receiving yards. With him being kind of one of, and one thing that he's done very well with as well is he's been really good at that corner route in the end zone, where he'd run about 10 yards and then he'd kind of post up and hit the corner, and he'd be able to grab that almost every time. That's where him and Zach Collaros worked in very good harmony. And so I think the only hope for that the Bombers now have is 2 things. Number one, that they fix the offensive line and they get them putting up the blocks they need to, both for Brady Oliveira and also for Zach Collaros. But then also, Ontario Wilson's good. Nick Demski is good. They can't be the only 2 guys you have. Want improved depth receivers. In the sense of, you don't need every receiver to be a Nick Demski or an Ontario Wilson, but in the past they've had a little bit of better depth at that position. I think they'd probably be hoping for some depth there. But Nick Demski needed to be re-signed.
I mean, you still have Claircius, you still have Cobb, you still have Cochran, and you still have Eccles.
Yeah, well, Eccles was on the practice roster. Like, Eccles barely even went it. Like, the thing is like, if we're looking at those guys, Corcoran, he's decent. But like when I look at what we got out of guys like Drew Wolotarski, when I look at guys like when Ontario Wilson was a depth guy that then got a chance and look where he is now. Claircius is a good possession receiver, but possession receivers are kind of a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? I think if I were the Bombers, I would be looking for Keyshawn Johnson, for Dante Myers. I thought Stearns was okay. I thought he had improved over the course of the year. Again, I just think that realistically they need to get some better blocks up to allow Collaros to have that connection with his receivers that he needs to have. So some improvement on the offensive line is definitely what I'd be looking for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But all in all, Nick Demski re-signs in Winnipeg, stays a Bomber. I'm a happy man. Is there anything else you got there, Rick?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord, where we discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports stuff. So make sure you guys go there and keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home. We will see you guys next time.